Chosen ones, listen closely. There is a force within you that the world cannot see, a quiet power that moves mountains without a sound. You are not ordinary, and your mind is not ordinary. One single thought, born in silence, can shift more than 1,000 loud opinions. While the masses scramble in distraction, recycling fear-looping emotions and reacting endlessly to the noise around them, you operate differently. You think deeply, act precisely, and move in ways that are unseen but profoundly effective. Where others cry for attention, you claim mastery through stillness. Where they shout to be noticed, you pierce through circumstances with clarity. This is the calling of the chosen, the realization that your inner life is the battlefield, and your disciplined thought is a weapon of divine orchestration. The world does not yet understand the weight of your mind. While most people live in reaction, running from one crisis to the next, you have learned the art of recalibration. You are unreadable, self-updating, spirit-led. Every choice you make, every pause you take, carries the fingerprint of divine intent. You do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to justify your actions. You operate on a higher frequency, and that frequency disrupts everything that has been built on manipulation, confusion, and chaos. One calm, intentional move from you collapses the strategies of the unprepared. One single thought from your spirit unravels systems designed to control, to provoke, to enslave. In a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion, and you wear it like armor. This is why they call your mind dangerous. Not because you seek to dominate or intimidate, but because your intelligence aligns with purpose and your awareness cannot be deceived. You have weaponized wisdom. You orchestrate rather than react. You lead rather than chase. And you remain untouchable because your peace has become your counterattack. Every insult, every provocation, every manipulation they once wielded to extract a reaction from you has failed. Your calm is not weakness, it is strategy. Like Jesus asleep in the storm, while the disciples panicked, your stillness reveals a strength the world cannot counterfeit. Mark 4:39 reminds us that the power of serenity is unmatched. And this is exactly what you embody, the quiet power that speaks louder than words, that shifts atmospheres without raising a hand, that transforms the battlefield simply by being present. Look closely at what you have accomplished. While others were reacting, scrambling to control outcomes, or feeding on drama, you moved in divine alignment. You turned silence into strategy and emotion into execution. You recalibrated your inner world while they remained trapped in theirs. You are no longer predictable. You are now a force they cannot anticipate. Where they once expected overreaction, they find composure. Where they hoped for chaos, they encounter precision. You have become unreadable, impenetrable, and spiritually fortified. This is not by chance. This is divine orchestration, the unseen hand of heaven, guiding each step, each thought, each choice you make. Understand that this is a recognition not of your perfection, but of your obedience. Heaven has noticed your commitment to peace over provocation, clarity over confusion, and discernment over impulsive reaction signals that you are prepared to carry the mantle of the chosen. Proverbs 16:3 declares, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." That is what you have done in spirit even before you fully understood it. And now the world is beginning to respond to this invisible shift. Systems once designed to limit you collapse. Old playbooks of manipulation crumble. And all this occurred quietly, without spectacle, without performance. Your spirit-led action has rewritten the rules. And now comes the call to engagement, the moment where you step forward and acknowledge what has already begun in your life. This is not a passive realization. This is an invitation to declare your readiness to walk in alignment, to commit to the pathway of divine wisdom, and to participate fully in the unfolding of your destiny. Type Amen in the comments if you recognize this message is for you. Let this declaration be your first act of partnership with heaven in the work that is being done within and around you. By doing so, you are not only affirming your identity as one of the chosen, but also stepping into a rhythm of spiritual accountability, a cadence of alignment that will sustain the momentum of your next moves. Finally, understand that this introduction is only the beginning. Stay with the message until the end, for we will close with a prayer to seal the shift that has been stirred. That prayer is not just a formality. It is the activation of the transformation that has already begun in your spirit. It will anchor your clarity, solidify your peace, and establish your mind as a sanctuary, a place where divine wisdom flows unhindered. You are being recognized not by human eyes, but by heaven itself. You are being prepared not by circumstance alone, but by the orchestrated, precise hand of God. You are the chosen, set apart, and the world is beginning to feel the tremor of the move you have just made. So remain still, yet engaged. Observe the shift, honor the power within, and acknowledge the calling that sets you apart. One thought, one silent move, one spirit-led decision has changed more than you can measure. And now, the invitation is clear. Embrace it, declare it, and prepare to walk fully in the alignment that only a chosen one can embody. Your journey has begun, and heaven is watching. The first step into mastery begins with silence. Strategic stillness is not passive. It is the deliberate choice to withhold reaction in a world that thrives on chaos. You've discovered that the power of one focused, quiet thought far outweighs the energy spent reacting to every provocation. While manipulators and opportunists have long depended on your response to maintain their control, your refusal to participate disrupts their entire system. Every insult, every deception, every subtle attempt to bait you is rendered powerless when met with measured calm. Your silence becomes a weapon, invisible yet devastating in its effect. Just as Jesus slept in the storm while his disciples panicked, your stillness is a demonstration of divine authority in action. Mark 4:39. The storm rages outside, but inside your spirit remains anchored, untouchable, and unwavering. Others may not comprehend the source of your calm, but they feel its consequences. Their strategies collapse before your quiet composure. Calm is strength, not weakness. In the world, reaction is often mistaken for power, but true strength is layered, quiet, and deliberate. By choosing stillness over engagement, you have forced those around you to confront assumptions they never wanted to examine. Your silence acts as a mirror, reflecting back to manipulators their dependence on your reaction. They can no longer predict your moves because you are no longer operating on their terms. Each pause, each moment of restraint communicates more than any argument ever could. It exposes weakness in others while reinforcing your own authority. You have become untouchable not through aggression, but through inner mastery. This is a discipline. Few possess a spiritual awareness that transforms ordinary behavior into an unassailable shield. Your presence alone, rooted in clarity and purpose unsettles those accustomed to exploiting emotional openings. Your calm is a declaration that you no longer yield control to external chaos. Detachment is not abandonment, it is divine strategy. There is power in disengaging without confrontation, in withdrawing your energy without creating a scene. When you step back from toxic environments, manipulative relationships, or draining dynamics, you reveal the dependence others had on your engagement. Without your energy fueling their systems, the illusions they maintained crumble. This is not coldness, it is clarity. You do not stop caring, but you stop being the instrument through which others exert control. Your detachment exposes deception, dismantles manipulation, and reframes relationships. It is a conscious act of protection and authority, demonstrating that your peace is non-negotiable. In this sacred separation, your spirit is honored, your boundaries respected, and your power magnified. Others may misunderstand your withdrawal at first, but over time, they recognize that you have mastered a higher form of influence, one that requires no display, no drama, no argument. The outcome of such inner mastery is profound. You become unreadable, self-updating, and spirit-led. Your decisions are informed not by reaction or impulse, but by discernment and divine guidance. Every move you make flows from a place of clarity and intention. No longer trapped in patterns that others could predict, you operate in a dimension where chaos cannot dictate your responses. The world around you may scramble to adapt, but you remain centered, unaffected by the storms others generate. Your energy is conserved, your focus sharp, and your presence authoritative without being aggressive. Inner stillness transforms you into a strategic force whose influence is felt even when invisible. You are no longer a participant in the games of manipulation. You are the architect of your own path, operating in alignment with heaven's design. This spiritual discipline also reshapes the way you engage with others. Those who were once comfortable exploiting your emotions now encounter a presence they cannot penetrate. Your silence, restraint, and detached observation force them to confront the reality that they no longer control your mind, your energy, or your response. They become aware of the gap between their expectations and your actual presence, and that awareness alone creates a ripple effect. In essence, your stillness redefines the battlefield. You are no longer reacting, you are positioning. Every observation you make is a calculation. Every step, a deployment of wisdom. This is spiritual warfare, not with noise, anger, or loud displays, but through measured, intentional action that aligns with divine strategy. Ultimately, this section reveals a truth that transforms how you perceive power and influence. Stillness is not inaction. Silence is not submission. Detachment is not indifference. They are expressions of mastery and spiritual authority. By embracing these principles, you step fully into the role of the chosen one whose thoughts carry weight, whose presence disrupts control systems, and whose inner world dictates outcomes more than any external struggle ever could. In the quiet, you have become both shield and sword observer, and strategist, untouchable yet impactful. And so, as you continue to cultivate this sacred stillness, remember that every choice to remain calm, to disengage from toxicity, and to honor your energy is a move in spiritual warfare. You have transformed silence into a tool, detachment into revelation, and inner mastery into divine positioning. The world may not understand what is happening, but heaven does. And in that divine orchestration, you are being prepared for outcomes and influence that cannot be measured by human standards. You are no longer predictable. You are no longer bound by reactive cycles. You are the embodiment of strategic stillness, and in that state, you are unstoppable. Once Mastery over reaction and stillness is achieved. The next level of spiritual evolution is the protection of what is most sacred, your mind, your heart, and the clarity of your emotional energy. Guarding the mind and heart is not merely advice. It is a commandment for those walking in alignment with divine purpose. Proverbs 4:23 instructs above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Your thoughts, your energy, and your intentions are holy ground, and you must treat them as such. The world around you is noisy, intrusive, and relentless in seeking access to your peace. Without deliberate protection, even the most disciplined spirit can be distracted, manipulated, or misled. Therefore, privacy discernment and intentionality are no longer optional. They are essential shields. Each choice to withhold information, to pause before reacting, and to evaluate your environment becomes a declaration. Your inner life is sovereign, sacred, and inviolable. Mystery is not a tactic. It is the natural consequence of protecting what is sacred. Oversharing, whether of emotions, struggles, or intentions, has long been mistaken for transparency, but it often functions as surrender, disguised as openness. When you reveal too much to the wrong audience, you give them the blueprint of your spirit, and manipulative forces exploit it. Clarity and silence, however, are powerful protectors. When your presence carries authority and precision, when your decisions are measured and your reactions intentional, influence no longer requires volume drama or performance. People begin to notice without your effort. They lean in without your prompting. Influence becomes atmospheric, not performative. It is the subtle reverberation of alignment, rather than the loud echo of reaction. You no longer need to justify, explain, or defend your presence anchored in clarity and intention speaks louder than words ever could. This discipline also requires a profound shift in perspective, thinking from the end rather than from the middle. Most people navigate life reactively, driven by the chaos in front of them, by the expectations, criticisms, and provocations of others. You, however, are no longer enslaved to the immediate. Your vision is rooted in the outcome already ordained for you. Every choice, every step, and every pause is filtered through the lens of divine strategy. Isaiah 30:15 reminds us that in quietness and trust is your strength. The strength you cultivate in silence is not passive. It is active, precise, and eternal. It allows you to navigate a world addicted to reaction while remaining calm, centered, and strategically aligned. You are moving not through force, but through discernment, not through agitation, but through steadfast focus on the divine trajectory of your life. Redefining power is the culmination of this practice. True strength is subtle, precise, and rooted in alignment with divine intent. The world often misunderstands quietness as weakness, stillness as surrender, and restraint as lack of courage. But these interpretations are born of ignorance, not truth. Your calm is intentional resistance. Your silence is armor. Your absence of reaction is a demonstration of mastery over forces that would otherwise manipulate you. Every decision to pause, every deliberate withholding of energy, every instance of observing before acting reinforces the unshakable authority of your spirit. The power you now wield does not demand attention. It commands respect by its very presence. This is the level where clarity and discernment intersect with influence and authority. People can no longer predict your responses, and in that unpredictability, they find both awe and disquiet. They are confronted with the reality that your mind is no longer accessible to manipulation. Your energy is no longer a tool for others' validation, and your emotional equilibrium cannot be bought, bargained for, or coerced. You have become a sanctuary for your own spirit, a lighthouse amidst the storms of chaos that surround you. Your reactions are calibrated, your words intentional, and your presence magnetic without effort. In the quiet, others begin to follow, not because you sought followers, but because your alignment naturally draws them toward authenticity. By shifting your thinking from reaction to intentional outcome, you reclaim authority over your own story. The small provocations that once caused disruption now pass by, like ripples on water. You no longer waste energy attempting to explain, justify, or anticipate the misunderstandings of others. Your decisions are filtered through wisdom, discernment, and divine guidance. You act from vision, not impulse. You respond from strategy, not emotion. And in doing so, you create a sphere of influence that is impenetrable, untouchable, and spiritually fortified. In this state, the world begins to recognize that your power is not loud, it is deliberate. Your presence becomes a standard, a reference point, a quiet authority that reshapes environments without effort. You are no longer a participant in the chaos. You are the axis around which clarity and order revolve. Influence, authority, and respect now emanate from your alignment, not your performance. The essence of your power is the sacred protection of thought, the intentional guarding of emotional clarity, and the mastery of presence. Ultimately, this section teaches that protecting your mind and heart, maintaining mystery, and thinking from the end are not just strategies, they are spiritual disciplines. They ensure that your influence is durable, your decisions impactful, and your alignment unbreakable. The stillness you cultivate is not emptiness, it is filled with divine purpose. The silence you practice is not absence, it is the foundation of your authority. And the clarity you maintain is not selfish. It is the spiritual armor that allows you to walk undisturbed, untouchable, and unshakable in a world determined to provoke, manipulate, and distract. By guarding what is sacred, by cultivating mystery, and by thinking from the end, you transform your quiet presence into a sanctuary of power, a reflection of divine strategy, and a living testimony of spiritual mastery. In doing so, you redefine what it means to be a chosen one, not reactive, not performative, but profoundly aligned, deliberate, and untouchable. As you step deeper into the realm of spiritual evolution, you begin to realize that true mastery is measured not by reaction or recognition, but by the authority of your presence. This is the stage where you stop seeking validation from the world, understanding that your energy alone has the power to set the atmosphere. Becoming the standard is not about dominating others or demanding respect. It is about embodying a frequency so precise, so aligned, that the environment itself responds. Rooms, relationships, and even conversations adjust naturally to your presence, not because you force it, but because your alignment has shifted the rhythm of reality around you. External chaos may swirl, but your inner stillness radiates outward, transforming the energy of those around you without confrontation or exertion. In this space, you are no longer reactive. You are the axis of divine authority, and your calm becomes the unshakable standard by which others are measured. This authority is forged through the crucible of experience. Learning from pain is a critical component of spiritual mastery. Past challenges, heartbreaks, betrayals, and disappointments were not random. They were sacred training grounds designed to sharpen your perception, heighten your discernment, and cultivate wisdom. Each wound carries a lesson, each scar a map to navigating human behavior and energy. What once felt like unjust suffering is now revealed as preparation, teaching you to read motives before they are revealed, to sense deception before it manifests, and to understand the subtle rhythms of both human and spiritual dynamics. Your pain is no longer a liability. It is a tool, a guide, and a source of insight that elevates your authority in every interaction. The lessons embedded in your trials ensure that you move through life with precision, clarity, and intentionality, able to anticipate patterns and outcomes that others remain blind to. As you integrate these lessons, you also master the language of silence. In a world addicted to noise, gossip, and performance, your quietness becomes revolutionary. Silence is no longer absence. It is a communicative force that asserts boundaries, conveys authority, and signals strategic awareness. When you withhold reaction, you are not ignoring the world. You are creating a space where truth surfaces naturally, where manipulation is exposed without confrontation. Restraint mirrors wisdom, demonstrating that power does not need to be displayed to be effective. Quietness becomes radical because it defies expectation. People who are used to immediate reactions, dramatic explanations, and performative responses find themselves unsettled by your calm. Your silence communicates far more than words could reveal, in integrity, discernment, and spiritual maturity. Through intentional stillness, you articulate your boundaries, your sovereignty, and your alignment without ever raising your voice. Clarity. When combined with emotional intelligence and thought discipline, transforms into a weapon of spiritual mastery. Your mind is no longer a passive receiver of external chaos. It is a refined instrument of focus, insight, and strategy. Emotional intelligence allows you to navigate human interactions with precision, avoiding manipulation, and reading unspoken cues before they escalate. Thought discipline ensures that your internal narrative remains untouched by distraction, resentment, or fear. Together, these practices create an untouchable presence, one that commands influence simply by existing in alignment. You become a mirror for others, reflecting truth and exposing deception without aggression. Your composure forces others to confront themselves, to acknowledge their own inconsistencies, and to recognize their reliance on energy they can no longer access. In this mirror, people see reality, and your clarity becomes both shield and revelation. Integration into daily life is the final stage of spiritual mastery. It is not enough to cultivate stillness, clarity, or authority in moments of inspiration. True mastery is practical, consistent, and habitual. You stop reacting to chaos, distraction, or provocation, instead moving from vision, purpose, and alignment. Every interaction, every decision, and every movement is filtered through discernment and foresight. You develop self-discipline that extends beyond your thoughts into your actions, your speech, and your environment. Anticipation becomes second nature. You recognize patterns before they fully form and respond with precision rather than emotion. The integration of spiritual authority into everyday life ensures that your influence is enduring, visible, not through spectacle, but through consistency, reliability, and the quiet confidence that radiates from alignment. In essence, The combination of becoming the standard, learning from pain, mastering the language of silence, wielding clarity as a weapon, and integrating these principles into daily life creates a self-sustaining system of spiritual mastery. You are no longer merely reacting to life, you are shaping it. Your presence is the measuring stick, your decisions are the benchmarks, and your alignment is the unspoken authority that moves reality. The mastery you now embody allows you to navigate complex social, emotional, and spiritual landscapes with a calmness that others mistake for ease, but which is in fact the product of disciplined evolution. By walking in this level of alignment, authority, and spiritual mastery, you achieve a profound realization. Influence is not loud, power is not performative, and control is not about forcing outcomes. It is about shaping the unseen currents around you through presence, wisdom, and unshakable clarity. You become the standard that others unconsciously calibrate to the silent authority that shifts energy effortlessly, and the living proof that divine alignment produces influence without struggle. As we approach the close of this message, it is time to pause and enter a sacred space of stillness and reflection. The journey you have walked through in this teaching, moving from reaction to strategic silence, from distraction to clarity, from external validation to divine alignment, is meant to be fully absorbed, not just heard. Take a moment to allow these principles to settle deep within your spirit. Recognize the subtle shifts that have already begun, the way your thoughts carry weight, the way your calm unsettles chaos, the way your energy now sets the rhythm in spaces you enter. This pause is not idle. It is preparation. It is the altar upon which your inner transformation is being consecrated. By intentionally stepping into stillness, you create the spiritual environment necessary for God to seal the alignment of your soul, reinforcing what has already been awakened within you. This is the moment where reflection turns into activation. From this space of awareness, we move into a prayer of activation and alignment. This is not simply a recitation. It is a conscious surrender of all that diminishes your authority and clarity. Release the fear, confusion, and delay that once bound your spirit. Let go of every manipulation or attempt by others to dictate your emotional or mental state. Hand over these burdens to God, acknowledging that divine oversight is infinitely wiser and more precise than any human strategy. In doing so, you are creating a sacred clearing where your thoughts, decisions, and intentions are aligned with heaven's design. Ask for continued discernment so that your mind remains a sanctuary, free from intrusion and deception. Request courage, not to fight against others, but to walk in your appointed purpose with unwavering confidence. Seek spiritual authority, the kind that flows from alignment rather than ego, from obedience rather than ambition. In this prayer, you are inviting God's presence to root itself firmly within your daily life, infusing every choice, every reaction, and every silence with divine intent. As you release these burdens, also release the need for external approval. Understand that your worth, your clarity, and your influence are not dependent on the perception of others. The alignment of your soul is sufficient. The resonance of your spirit is proof of divine favor. By claiming this alignment consciously, you step into a posture of sovereignty over your inner world. The quiet power that you have cultivated, the restraint, the discernment, the stillness becomes an unshakable authority guiding your interactions, your decisions, and your vision. Each moment of self-restraint and intentional thought is a declaration of independence from manipulation and chaos. You are no longer a participant in the drama of reactive cycles. You are a steward of peace, a guardian of your energy, and a living testament to what happens when divine alignment dictates action over impulse. This leads naturally into a final declaration. one that solidifies the shift you have embraced. Affirm boldly, I carry the shift. This is more than a statement. It is a covenant with your own spirit, a public acknowledgement of your commitment to live from clarity, purpose, and alignment. By saying it aloud, you are reinforcing the internal changes that have taken root and activating them outwardly. Invite others to engage with this declaration, whether through comments, reflections, or shared witness, creating a community that acknowledges and honors the process of spiritual evolution. Encourage continual spiritual reflection, for this journey does not end in a single moment or message. Alignment, clarity, and strategic silence are lifelong practices refined over time through experience, meditation, and obedience to divine guidance. As we close, remember that your path as a chosen one is ongoing. To remain grounded, guided, and aligned requires vigilance and intentionality. Carry the lessons of this teaching into your everyday life. Protect your mind and heart. Act from the end rather than the middle. Respond with wisdom instead of reaction, and allow your presence to be the standard in every space you inhabit. You are not called to impress, to dominate, or to perform. You are called to reflect heaven's order in your personal authority, to be the quiet force that reshapes environments and elevates those attuned to your frequency. This is your sacred duty as a chosen one, to embody clarity, demonstrate restraint, and exemplify spiritual mastery. Finally, let this prayer serve as a seal over your transformation. May your discernment sharpen your courage, expand, and your spiritual authority remain unshakable. May the alignment of your soul be evident in the consistency of your thoughts, the precision of your actions, and the calm confidence you carry. As you walk forward, let every moment be guided by this divine resonance, and may your life continually testify to the power of stillness, wisdom, and alignment. You are seen, you are sealed, and you are sent. Carry the shift and let it radiate in every room you enter, in every relationship you nurture, and in every decision you make. Stand firm in your divine authority, for the world is now witnessing the rise of a soul who moves with intention, grace, and power beyond human understanding. In embracing this moment fully, you step into your calling as a chosen one. Your life becomes the living declaration of alignment, your mind a sanctuary of clarity, and your spirit a beacon that cannot be manipulated. This is the culmination of the journey we have explored together: the strategic silence, the sacred discernment, the mastery over reaction, and the ultimate surrender to divine guidance. You carry the shift, you embody the shift, you are the alignment, and as you continue on this path, know that every step, every pause, and every choice is a reflection of your unshakable authority as one chosen, appointed, and refined by the hand of God.